welcome to episode 15 of Let Me Finish. I'm not even exactly sure what this episode's going to be because the amount of stuff I have left to talk about does not equate the length that we do these, and I don't want to fuck with the length. The length has been so consistent other than the first episode. I'll just pick up the little bit that I have left. Janessa did remind me during her episode, Jan Slam, that Swiggle did do the Dear Portland Police Challenge, and that was one of the first things that I did that I think maybe didn't impress Swiggle, but showed him that I was willing to work hard. He was having people post it to Facebook, their song, their version of his Dear Portland Police, and I uploaded mine, and he said send it to as many people as you have to get it to 1,000 views, and then it was 2,000, and then it was 200 likes, and it was like he just kept giving me goals, and I know it was him promoting himself, but it really, a lot of those things still stick with me. Not only do I tell some of the fish to do that, but I also send my stuff out a lot. I don't like doing mass tagging, but if you're willing to message people and start a conversation and then send them something, or find people that and pay attention when someone says, yeah, send me anything when it comes out, and send it to them. Don't send it to people who you don't think want it just to get it out. But almost like having an email list, I think there's a way to, kind of stock and remember which people actually care about your shit when it drops, and make sure you get it to them, because the algorithm won't always. And it was also like the first thing I got that got 1,000 views on Facebook, the first Facebook post that got 200 likes. It felt like I was doing something, and it felt tangible. I could see the progress. Also, Dear Portland Police was just a really big movement. A lot of people did that challenge. And a lot of people listened to that song. Like, that song did well, and I know he got to perform it more during the protests, but I remember going with him when he got that Dear Portland Police pig decapitated shirt that was 5X. It looked like a dress, and we were taking pictures of him wearing it in front of cop cars. Man, what the fuck does that stand for? My notes just say BBC, and I don't think it's Dick or the network. Man, what is that? Big booty cheese. What the fuck could that be? Dear Portland Police and BBC. Man, I really thought I was going to have more to talk about. I guess I'll get right into the I'm going to go through and just tell some fun stories from this time that I remembered after the fact from this era of the fish. There was a time where Lie the Most High and Timmy Hendrix were staying with Liddy Times, which was Swiggle's videographer at the time, and I went over there to hang out with them, and Timmy was playing video games on the Fire Stick, which I didn't know was a thing, and Lie was rolling up weed, and we ended up going with Frostbite, who was a fish at the time, to shoot a music video. I was like, I'm shooting a video. Do you guys want to come and be my extras? And this is a piece of shit video. I don't even know if it's anywhere on the internet anymore. I haven't seen it in so long. But we just wandered around the Clackamas River. Timmy just has his shirt off behind me. I'm just standing in people's backyards. But it was one of the first times where people did something like exclusively for me. Like, what the fuck did Timmy and Lai gain by being the background in my fucking shitty resolution video that doesn't look tight and isn't cool? But the same day, Swiggle called us and ended up asking us to pull up to a day fade down at the Paris Theater, like an outdoor type deal. So we went there and got some extra scenes there. It was just a mess of a fucking video, but I was super appreciative of Timmy and Lai pulling up on me like that and giving me my time, or their time, for something that I cared about for some reason. Nick officially left the group by, I believe, this December that we ended the story in last episode. So this next, the beginning of the next season, I will say, is going to start with a roster. Within 2 weeks of 2019, we had a roster. So Nick leaving is pretty important, because that's the reason he's not going to be on that. There was a show at the Paris Theater, and me and Lai forgot about it. I think Too Easy was throwing it, and we were performing. I had my own set, and I was performing a Swiggle on his. And me and Lai took a bunch of shrooms on the max on the way for some fucking reason. and it was one of the worst shows of my entire fucking life. Still, out of the thousands of shows I'd done, I put it pretty low on the fucking list. It was, man, I was so scared. Everything looked like it was moving. Everything was giving me fucking anxiety. And Lai was not performing well. He was stomping all over the place. He was getting tangled up in the mics. He didn't know any of his words. Eventually, Swiggle took the microphone away from him. I made it. I faked my way through my entire set, through my song with Swiggle. And then I walked behind the stage and told Timmy that I had to get the fuck out of there, or I was going to have a panic attack. And he called Casa for me. And the second Casa texted me that I'm out front, I sprint through the venue and jumped in his car and had to get the fuck out of there. It was such a disaster, bro. To this day, when people ask me my worst show, that one comes up. Such a disgusting era where I thought that was a wise decision. It was so much shrooms too. There was no part of me that thought it was a good idea, but I did it without it, like a second thought. I just did it like it was breathing. I did talk about how Tag fell asleep in Corvallis. There's also a trend during this time of Tag not doing great when we have shows that were abroad of this area. When we went to Seaside or Coos Bay, I had a rental car at the time, and me, Tag, JC, and Swiggle drove all the way out to Coos Bay from Portland. Tag was fine the whole time. We were all doing good, but for some reason, right before it was time for us to perform, backstage in the green room, Tag's just like, I don't feel good. So he doesn't come out. We do the whole set, blah, blah, blah. I go back into the room, and Tag's like shivering, not doing good. So we go over to the hotel that the other artists were staying at, and we were gonna, I think maybe Swiggle was getting paid or something was going on. So we went over there, and Tag was like, can I use your bathroom? And we were sitting there and chatting with the artists, having a good time. And then one of them's like, hey, you guys should check on your friend. He's violently vomiting in there. So we ran on the door, and like he wouldn't answer us. And then he came out and was just like, I'm not doing good. And we still had this long ass drive back, and he looked like a ghost. And the next trip we did with Tag was from Seattle, and on the way back, this motherfucker, we got pulled over because I was doing like 10 over the speed limit, and everything was fine though. Like the cop, we threw the fucking blunt out the window. I talked the cop down like he wasn't gonna give me no ticket, and as he was walking away, my ex-girlfriend at the time said some shit under her breath, and he turned around and was like, why don't y'all got seatbelts on? And everybody but me got a fucking ticket. Oh my god, Tag was so pissed. I almost feel like he sent in the money, and maybe the officer didn't file the paperwork correctly, and he got it sent back to him. I'll have to ask him, but I actually don't think that went as terrible as it could have. But also, this is not a traveling story, but man, me and Tag have some bad fucking luck. We were outside the Paris Theater one time, just smoking weed before a show. We were sitting in my car, and this motorcycle cop fucking pulls up on us and is like, are you guys fucking stupid? And gives us both tickets for smoking. I ended up having to pay a fat ass fine for that, but this fucking guy Tag, he showed up and was like, he didn't see me smoking, he saw my friend smoking. And the officer had to admit that he did not see him smoking, and he got off with that. You didn't have to fucking pay shit. Yeah, maybe that's why Tag stopped doing shows for a little while during this time. Yeah, so I'm really excited that we're kind of at the end, and I'm just running through talking about some like little fun stuff that I remember, and I have this big list of like actual fun little memories that I want to loosely stick to, but I also just want to feel out what I want to talk about and memories that come into my head naturally, because I think it makes for better content than when I try to write my shit out. Like just now I was remembering there was a party where I was DJing, and I say DJing loosely. I brought my record player downstairs and a bunch of my records, and fucking was just playing them at a party fucking loud and standing behind it with a beer. And I played Dr. Dre's Compton album, and this was like, the Fish were not a thing at this time. This is real early on. I had just met Young Ned and Tag during this time. I mean, the Fish, we were friends, but we weren't for sure not the Antelope Fishermen yet. And Tag had brought his friend Andrew, who ended up being one of the founding fish, to this party, and it was the first time I met him, but he like immediately said hi and ran away. Like his social anxiety was fucking off the charts. And I played Dr. Dre's Compton album, the vinyl or the record. I feel like I got made fun of for saying one or the other of those, so I'll just say both of them. He ran up to me and was like, "This album's great," and I was like, "Yeah, man. I feel like it was slept on, blah, blah, blah." We talked for 2 seconds, and I turned around to grab my drink, and then turned back around and saw him sprinting back through the crowd. Like, that was the maximum amount of social interaction that he could handle. And I think it's crazy that that was the beginning of him being my... I mean, I still love Andrew to death. That's my brother. He might be listening to this, so I love you, Andrew. But there was a period of time where he was, like, my best friend. Like, me and him just we understood each other and got along and liked the same shit and had a lot of really cool things that we could talk about because of how similarly we listened to music and stuff like that. So that relationship that we had really started with that moment of, yo, you like this album, that's cool. And pretty much all of our early interactions when people were making fun of us for dating, like he burnt me the Free Wheezy album because it wasn't available on any platforms other than maybe Tidal, and we didn't have Tidal. And I wore that shit out in my car. Like, people made fun, "Oh, he made you a little mixtape." But we really had a cool... Like, I learned so much about hip-hop, and I think he did too. We went and saw Jay-Z with Young Ned. We went and saw Billy Joel with Young Ned. Like, we just experienced music together, discussed music together, and then we started making music together. And it all started with that little moment at a Troutdale house party and me playing Compton by Dr. Dre. And also, if you haven't listened to Compton by Dr. Dre, go listen to that. It's underrated. It's slept on. It's very fucking good. Also, I feel obligated to say that, honestly, as much as this is season 1 of the Antelope Fisherman Let Me Finish podcast, it's the first chapter of us. Looking back on it now that I have all the information, it's crazy to me that we've existed in this plane of almost non-existence for the first 2 years of knowing each other and of the pseudo group being a thing. Like, maybe that party that I just talked about happened in 2016 or 2017, but most of the work we didn't start until 2018. And there's no official post or roster or any of this stuff until 2019. I don't feel like we took ourselves seriously for the first 2 full years. Like, we definitely started trying to towards the end, but not as a collective. And I don't think I realized that. I really felt like we were off the ground right away. But now that I'm doing this, we spent so much time just becoming friends and finding our footing. And I'm so fucking thankful for it, because I don't think we would have lasted this long without it. We really were a family. We didn't plan on being some rap super group or whatever the fuck we've become, because we've always just been a family. And I think that's why you can't just join the fish or ask to be a fish or any of that shit, because it's just like, if you're not a part of this weird goofy family, then you can't just be joined because you're cool or because you rap well or whatever the fuck. Like, it has to be the full package. And the more I've looked back at this first season and gone back and listened, like, we did so much, but we also did nothing at fucking all. Like, I felt like 2016 was going to be its own season, but there's no, like, it was just 4 guys in a garage or 4 guys on a back porch. It's not, we didn't do anything other than create this blood-like bond with each other, and I don't think we would be here if that wasn't the core foundation. So at the same time as I'm disappointed, as like, who knows how much further ahead we would be if we were working in the right direction during this early time, but also, like, I'm grateful that we've created this group that has sustained itself for so long, probably because of how aggressively we bonded before we even felt the need to put something out. We weren't worried about getting famous. We just wanted to make some music with our friends. And to this day, that's what keeps me going. I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know if this is going to work out, but I know it wasn't a waste of time, because I got to make music with my friends. I got to make content. I got to make videos. I got to have a family, and that's the point of this podcast. So We'll see what guests I can get next time, but this is pretty much it for the first season. So before you interrupt, let me finish.